Hi everyone, joining me today is Frank Brinkkemper, product manager at Oasis.app. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
To kick it off, a few questions about you. When and how were you first exposed to crypto?
This was 2016, early 2016, when, before that I heard sometimes on the radio about Bitcoin, but I always disregarded it until there was a very good Dutch documentary called the Bitcoin Bible. And in that documentary I got fully hooked, and from that moment I started reading Reddit, and then on the Bitcoin subreddit there was an advertisement for the Ethereum subreddit, and I never went out of the rabbit hole since that day. So
So you've been in crypto for like 6 years.
Yes.
What's the most important lesson that you've learned in this time in crypto?
That's a good question. I think, to build a new, an alternative financial institution, you actually need to build new institutions. It's not just some code. It's also people who need to maintain that code, and those people belong to a bigger institution one way or another. But it's about being a decentralized system that makes it more interesting, at least to me, than the system that we have in place, which is not democratic at all, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Cool. And what is the most ridiculous thing that you have ever done or experienced in crypto?
I think trying to arbitrage some ICOs was quite stupid, to say the least. But that was just like 2017 bull market craziness. I think buying NFTs on Solana was also a very stupid thing for me to do.
Yeah. Now let's move to your projects. In a nutshell, could you explain for those who are not familiar with your project what exactly Oasis.app does?
Yes. So Oasis.app is the place to deploy your capital into DeFi. And more specifically, at the moment, we allow users to interact with the Maker protocol in a more advanced way than just depositing collateral and generating DAI. So for example, what you can do right now is you can open a multiply position, which means that you, for example, deposit 10 ETH, and immediately in one transaction you generate DAI through the Maker protocol and sell that DAI through 1inch for extra collateral, so for example for another 10 ETH, and thereby getting a 2x exposure on your ETH, all in a decentralized manner, all in just one transaction. And then, for example, you can turn on automation features to enable stop loss protection, so that you don't get liquidated and pay a liquidation penalty, or set up an automated buy based on certain price thresholds. So that's what it is right now, and we are building additional features, for example, yield strategy features, where you can generate DAI and then use that DAI immediately in a strategy that is earning some yield for you.
Mm-hmm. Cool. For instance, if you talk to a user who is not very familiar with all those things, but is kind of skeptical and wary and afraid of losing their money, What would you tell them to persuade them that the business model of your project is sustainable?
That's also a good question. I think, well, in the heart of Oasis.app lies trust. And ultimately, if you don't want to trust that we run our UI in a safe way, then you're free to go onto our GitHub and run it all locally, because all our code is open source. So yeah, anyone can fork it if they would want to. But we're also all a very open team and project. So you can join our Discord, follow us there, ask questions if you're unfamiliar with the features, or if you have doubts about the sustainability, and then yeah, we'll be happy to answer them for you.
Cool. Let's move to more general questions about crypto. Now we are apparently in a bear market. Do you think anything good could come out of this bear market? Could there be any silver lining?
To me, the biggest silver lining has already happened, I think, which is just the general deleveraging of the entire system, and thereby yeah, also like getting out the mania of the system, because yeah, hearing about coins that don't make any sense at all at birthday parties from people who never touched crypto before probably isn't a very good sign of a healthy market. So yeah, I think now that has dwindled down, so people won't ask at birthday parties anymore, like, hey, what's the best crypto to buy? But rather, hey, are you still holding on there? So I think that's good, because then we can focus again on, okay, what's the actual added value that we're bringing to the world, and let's build towards increasing that value.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Now, also, I want to ask you about the overall situation in the economy, which is pretty bad. Is there any special role that crypto could play in these circumstances?
Well, I hope that we will, during this coming bear market, we will see more and more ways for people to really connect the crypto world to the real world. We've been talking about that for, I think, over 5 years now. For example, mortgages on the blockchain. I'm not saying that we necessarily need to do that, but it needs to get tighter, so that right now, for example, you can get a better interest on your American bonds than when you put your money in Compound or Aave, which are considered to be one of the safest DeFi protocols. So does that mean that that those are even safer than the US economy? I think this just shows a lack of interconnectedness, and increasing this interconnectedness can, for example, help hopefully everyday people to hedge themselves against inflation, for example, protect themselves against it, and yeah, I think that would be a benefit to the world.
Mm-hmm. You've mentioned this interconnectedness. Basically, it's like mass adoption, mm-hmm. like getting more crypto solutions adopted by wider audiences. What has to to be done to kind of accelerate this process? Because we've been talking about mass adoption for years, but the process has been kind of slow.
Yeah. Yeah, well, there as well, I think that we shouldn't necessarily focus on, or like, I don't believe that every grandma is gonna own crypto in the future. Perhaps when people of my age become grandmas, they will be fine with owning their own cryptos. But like the not your keys, not your coins is great, but it doesn't help most people. So there need to be solutions which are really highly trusted. We've now seen with this bear market that there are businesses that don't take proper care of your crypto when you use them as custodians. So for us to get out of the situation and increase the adoption again, because right now I think it's clearly decreasing. I think we need to create better institutions that more people trust, and then those institutions can hold the crypto for the majority of people who don't mind having someone else being in ultimate control of their coins.
Crypto regulation has been discussed for years as well. There are different approaches. In your opinion, what kind of crypto regulation would be ideal?
I think in terms of crypto regulation that it would be great if all countries just come together, but yeah, that's impossible. So what this means is that there will always be regulatory arbitrage, where everyone has to tick lots of boxes in order to be able to access whatever application they're trying to do, and everyone is trying to evade that through VPNs and all those sort of things. But yeah, I think especially just all the places where fiat to crypto transactions are done, it should be really, really tight. And for example, custodians should also be really tightly monitored and regulated, such that we don't get another explosion like we had with Celsius and others recently. But I do think that it's nice that in this world, in this crypto world, even though there was a lot of contagion, it didn't like no one built anyone out. And I think you don't want regulation that goes so far that crypto becomes too big to fail or something like that. It's all right if some projects fail. It's all right if some companies fail, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. What is your take on DAOs? Could they play a bigger role than what they are playing now?
I think if DAOs are rightly structured, for sure they can. And I also think that in order to be a sustainable DAO, you need to have sustainable revenue. And I think there are only a few DAOs at the moment who are at that level. We are a for-profit company, and we are happy to be that. And I think there are places in crypto for DAOs, and there are places in crypto for companies. Not everything should be a DAO. But the most decentralized projects, Aave, Compound, Maker, those really should be DAOs, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Cool. What do you think about Metaverse? What is your definition of Metaverse, basically?
I I think the metaverse is everything that you can, like, it's basically the internet is already a metaverse at this point. So it's a place where everyone can show themselves in a way to others that's done through the digital, through any digital means. I think the metaverse at the moment, because it's indeed everyone has their own definition, thereby becomes this big gray object that everyone is either very hyped about or very skeptical about because they don't understand it. And I think it's going to take a while before we fully grasp, okay, how can we, for example, have a fully interoperable VR world, which is a certain type of metaverse, I would say. So I think we're really just at the start of the whole metaverse idea. I hope that the metaverse also brings some experimentation of like non-capitalist world, because right now with some of the crypto metaverses, it's still all about, okay, how can I sell my plot of digital land for the most money, and I'm curious to see whether there's a way to make that more collective or increase the public metaverse goods.
Mm-hmm. And my final question is about NFTs. The NFT craze seems to have subsided, but so far what we have seen have been mostly JPEG images. How far away are we from a situation when NFTs will have real utilities like, I don't know, concert tickets or proofs of hotel reservations?
Well, I think there are quite a few companies. There's a Dutch company that was used for the conference, the Ethereum conference in Amsterdam, called Guts, which are, they have the whole ticketing system working. And I think they're doing a great job. I think in general, there also need to become some standards or institutions, decentralized institutions, DAOs, whatever, that will govern some kind of I think like registries, like where it's more broad than just, okay, you have this one NFT project that tries to put physical art on the blockchain, for example, and then there's this other NFT project that tries to do the same. There needs to be an interoperability layer between these NFTs that try to add real utility to them. Because at the moment I don't see it.
Mm-hmm. So it's basically all about interoperability.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Frank, for joining us. Thank you.
Thank you very much.